All right, let's talk about why the decision to rebase the GDP and what it's going to reflect, what we're going to see as the new drivers of growth in Nigeria.
Well, yes. You might know that constant price estimates use the price relatives of a particular year to weigh together the volume components. It's a matter of fact that structural changes take place in production structure in any economy over a period of time. Also, structural changes do take place in relative prices of various products in the economy over a period of time. And the development and innovations of new products appear in the market. So each base year gives a different perspective resulting from those weights. Hence, countries update their base year periodically. Therefore, to present consistent time series, the old series is required to be linked to the series based on the new base year, resulting in a set of chain-linked time series.
Let me challenge you a little bit there, Yemi. We're told that with the rebasing, the figure as to the value of the Nigerian economy will be in the region of $247 billion, maybe 250. Some would argue that that figure is already known. It's been bandied about over the last 3 years. This would just be mere confirmation of what people already know. So what's new then?
Well, with regard to the estimated size of the economy post-rebasing, we have not yet determined that figure, so I can't really comment on that. But what I can say anyway is that I don't actually agree that 246 billion has been bandied around. I think that's actually what is currently the GDP figure. I don't know how the estimates you are using came about. I expect that it's going to be significantly above 248 billion. As what you.
I think, Yemi, I think
currently Nigeria.
I think, Yemi, what's going to be new? What information is going to be new?
Well, let's put it this way. Currently, we're using base year is 1990. Now, between 1990 and currently, there's been a massive change in the structure of the Nigerian economy. We have returned to democratic rule for over 13 years now. We've had 3 presidents, about 4 different administrations. There's the telecoms revolution. There's the banking sector consolidation. There's huge inflows of foreign direct investments since 1999 when we returned to democratic, including portfolio investment, increases in disposable income, even in the per capita income that's risen by almost 300% between 1990 and currently, and bringing, of course, with that increases in consumer spending and in the pattern of spending. So if you take all these things into consideration, you expect that because even the entertainment industry has grown substantially since then. There's an increase in attention to tourism. There's a lot of more construction work going on, building and construction, shooting up, real estate shooting up. Now when you take all that into consideration, and using a base year of 1990, almost 23 years ago, I think it is fair to assume that a lot has changed as far as the structure of the economy is concerned, and you expect a huge increase when the GDP is revised.
Okay, now we do know that agriculture is now a major driver of growth at 40%, so the rebasing will reflect that. But telecoms as well, we don't really know the value of telecoms to this economy. Do you have a sense of what it is?
Well, the telecom sector has been growing significantly in the last few years. It started at a point where it was contributing less than 1% to the Nigerian economy. It currently has grown in the last 4 or 5 years to about 5% currently. Recently, our latest surveys showed that just only 63% of Nigerians have access to mobile phones, for example. And even with that, only about 40% actually own the devices. So you can see there's a huge scope in Nigeria's 160 million young population. The telecoms penetration is still very, very low. There's a huge scope for growth. So you can imagine the impact that's going to have in the country over the next few years. It definitely play a major role.
What about the oil sector, Yemi? We do know that you're the 8th largest producer the world over Nigeria. The oil sector accounts for over 95% of foreign exchange earnings. And to a large extent, higher oil prices is what high GDP figures have been predicated on. How is that going to be reflected? Because some would argue good GDP figures for Nigeria reflects good production on the oil side.
Well, not necessarily. In the last 10 years, the growth Nigerian economy has been driven by the non-oil sector. In fact, the oil sector has hardly grown at all. It's been very, very, relatively speaking, it has been very, very slow relative to the non-oil sector. Actually, most of the growth in Nigeria in the last 10 years has been in the non-oil.